It needs conscious effort because as we are all different, we also have very different ways of sharing our perspectives. Some individuals would feel that they need to be, they are more quiet, for example, in a meeting. And sometimes even if they have something to add, to contribute, they might stay quiet. And for me to understand this has taken some time because by nature, if I have something to say, I would. And when someone stays quiet, my assumption was in the early days, because they're fine. But the more I dig into this space, the more I learned that that's not correct. And most of the time, what's interesting is the person who stays really quiet for a while has a really good angle to bring to the topic. Another piece is being curious. Right? Sometimes someone says something and you feel like, okay, you know there is something different there, but you don't really understand. And that could be a clue to try to dig a bit more and try to understand what's actually going on in there for you to be able to unpack and maybe, resolve. This requires a conscious effort because, as I said, we are all naturally having tendencies. And when you're in the leadership role, you cannot just assume your style, your preferences is the right one. You need to think about the bigger cohort. I think we have enough research now. We all know that having diverse perspectives is making the decisions richer, and it's also enabling businesses to get much better outcomes. For example, we had a customer who is a quantum computing provider. They are building their own quantum computers. And their requirement to be in our data centers is completely different from a traditional company who wants to host their IT in our data centers. And the initial reaction from the engineering world is, no, we can't accommodate because that's going to cause so much challenge for the existing customers. We need to change these standards, and changing those standards will create these risks. But if you have a team, which in that case, thankfully we had, then somebody in that environment will say, well, I see the challenges you're putting through, but I also see the opportunity because we have this new data center being built. Why don't we look into having that availability? And it's because we had this mechanical engineer who was thinking differently. That person who thinks differently, if they are feeling that they can share this and they are not going to be seen like the person who is coming completely irrelevant and not understanding their real business, then they will be able to say things, and then the business will be able to start thinking about the possibilities. And that's why the culture, that's why investing in these without the problem is there is the fundamental piece, because you're not trying to solve that problem. You're trying to have an environment where people will feel okay to share different perspectives. And once that voices are coming up, then it's about picking the right ones and making sure the right discussions are happening.